Hello and welcome to CSIT 120 Overview of Computer Science J-Term Edition. This is Dr. Michael Sheldon here, also known as Dr. Mike, and I presume you've already watched the introduction video, and this slideshow is intended to give you a little more detail about the course and important things that we need to know for our J-Term semester. So, a couple things about me, just briefly. I have quite an eclectic background, especially in terms of my education. I have a Bachelor's of Art in Communications, a Master's in Information Design and Technology, as well as a PhD in Information Science and Technology from Syracuse University. I've been teaching for about 6.5-ish years. I kind of lose track a little bit. But I've taught for Syracuse, I've taught for another SUNY school online, and I taught for an entirely online university for about an entire year. That one was called Trident University International. And I've been at SUNY Fredonia for just over 3 years as of today. I've also have a lot of experience in doing research. I've done research on online learning environments as well as the ways that people use information technology and how it impacts their lives. Some hobbies of mine, and I do have many hobbies, include video games, as well as photography and drawing. This course is certainly not about me, though, so I think that's probably what you need to know for now. And let's look at what you'll learn. So, over the course of J-Term, there's a number of different topics that we're going to be looking at in no particular order. We have digital content, that is, what are the images, video, and sound, and other sorts of digital content made up of that you experience when you're using computers. We're going to learn about digital devices, specifically computing hardware, networking, the World Wide Web, social media, software. We'll learn a little bit about security, and over the course of the entire class, there's going to be some issues involving ethics that we'll be delving into. So this course satisfies a number of different department learning goals for the Department of Computer Information Science. These include demonstrating core knowledge of computing and information technology, being familiar with software, being able to use appropriate computing language when you talk about computing, and the ability to analyze a problem, identify, and define its computing requirements. In other words, in this class, we have a number of assignments where you're applying concepts that we've learned to an area that you are personally interested in. So that can be fun, and it adds a little bit of personalization to this general education course of ours. And speaking of gen ed courses, this class fulfills a natural science credit. And in the natural sciences, the learning goals include understanding the methods scientists use, ability to apply scientific data, concepts, and models in one of the natural sciences, critical thinking, and information management. So that's all of the sort of required learning goals that we are aiming for in CSIT 120. This being an online course, it's divided up into about 9 modules. We have many active discussions that will be going on over the course of that. In most, but not all modules, we're going to have assignments, and with the majority of those, you'll be writing about something that hopefully, and solving problems related to something that hopefully you're interested in. Each module, except for the final and the midterm module, will have quizzes. Final and midterm module will have exams, and there is a project at the end of the term in which you tie together a bunch of the stuff that we've learned over J-term. Materials. I don't require, and I have no way of verifying whether or not you buy the suggested textbook, but it is suggested in the sense that it is one very useful resource for being successful in this class. I think that if you'd want to do well, it certainly behooves you to get the textbook, and it's something you can rent or have an online edition of. The publisher for the textbook is Cengage Publishing, and they offer electronic version of it. The text is New Perspectives on Computing Concepts 2018 Introductory. Now, there's a comprehensive, and there are a few other editions of the book, but the introductory is what serves our purposes here. And I did choose that one because it is the cheapest option of the textbooks, but it's also sufficient, like I said, for what we're doing. And obviously, being an online course, you need regular computer access and internet access and a web browser, but also software to complete assignments. Microsoft Word, in particular, is the format that I look for assignments to be completed in. Grading wise, course breaks down discussions since we don't meet face to face. This helps to compensate for that. So discussions are an important part of our online experience. Therefore, they're 25% of our overall grade. The midterm and final exams are each 10%. Quizzes are 20%. That final project I mentioned is 10, and the assignments that we're going to have for all except for the midterm and final modules, those also comprise a quarter of your grade. I do tend to be somewhat flexible. If you have extenuating circumstances or something comes up where you can't get an assignment done, as long as you let me know in advance. Otherwise, if something's just not handed in on time, I will apply one time a 20% late penalty, up to that being submitted 3 business days late. If you ever disagree with a grade, I welcome you to bring that to my attention. I think grades should be fair, and that if you have a dispute with your grade, you have an opportunity to discuss with me why the grade didn't meet your expectations, and I have an opportunity to express why a grade was given as such. Despite the fact I try to provide feedback with each of the assignments and such as we get them. So, anyways, that's a very long way of saying if you do have a disagreement with the grade, please let me know within 2 days of receiving the grade, so it's freshest on my mind. And certainly in discussions and communications related to the course, make sure you have respect for your peers and respect for me as your instructor. OnCourse is used for everything. It's an online course. We can't get around it. But troubleshooting is your responsibility. There are a number of helpful resources. If you do have problems, we have the help desk, better known as FredQuest. There are online resources that are posted in our course. I can point you towards the right direction. There's some links in the syllabus, and when you submit something, whether it's a discussion post or an assignment, quiz, whatever the case is, it's helpful to double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, sextuple check. Well, maybe double or triple check is sufficient, but OnCourse will give you confirmation that something's been submitted if you go back into it after you've completed a submission, so it's your responsibility to check that. Also, don't cheat. I think that goes without saying. It's rare, but on occasion I have had instances of plagiarism or collusion with other students or folks, engaging in other academic dishonesty. I don't have any tolerance for that as an instructor. I try my best to give you resources and opportunities to succeed, so I don't take a very high view of academic dishonesty. Hopefully we won't have any issues with that, and I don't expect to, but I just want to be clear that I have a zero tolerance for any sort of dishonesty with academics. If you're a student with a disability, it is your responsibility to self-report to the coordinator for disability support services for students. You can send them an email. The address is listed in the syllabus, or if you can't find it, feel free to shoot me a message and I will share that with you. Online course, yes, but this is also a resource available to students, whether it's this course or anything else that you're taking here at Fredonia. We do have a learning center with tutors on the 4th floor of Reed Library. Um, and I have online office hours that are on an as needed basis. So if you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, or you just want to discuss anything that we've gone over in class, I strongly encourage that. And we can set something up through phone, through Skype, through whatever medium you're most comfortable with. And I always welcome the opportunity to talk with my students, especially in an online course. Whoops, went too far with that. Don't just take my word um, for it in terms of the resources and opportunities I try to provide to my students. I think it's helpful to see what other students have said about me as an instructor. So there's this wonderful website known as Rate My Professor. And I don't necessarily think I need to read these to you, but I currently have 3 entries on there, and there's pretty positive feedback overall. Of my 3 ratings, I've been ranked with a 5 out of 5 for overall quality, and a 3 out of 5 for level of difficulty. So I guess folks don't think I'm too hard, don't think I'm too easy. I'm sort of right in the middle there. But I do my best to make sure, as I've said, my students have the resources and support they need to succeed. Which leads me to my teaching philosophy, in case you hadn't caught on. I consider myself pretty dedicated. Teaching is what really drives me. There's many parts to my job that don't involve teaching, believe it or not. That's something students don't often see. Teaching is on paper about 40% of my job responsibilities, but I probably invest 85 or 90% of my time into teaching because it's something I feel is important. I want to see that my students do well. I want them to succeed. I want them to get something out of my classes. So I try to make myself as available as possible. I try to be as communicative as I can, and I encourage you as my students to never feel uncomfortable coming to me with any issues or questions or concerns. There are always things that we can work on, and I want to be a resource that, as I've now said many times, helps to support your success. So in the course, there's many opportunities to do well. I try to provide many resources. And on the flip side of that, your job as a student is to take advantage of as many of those as you can, to run with those, to take advantage of the opportunities provided to you for your success. I can only do so much on my end to create opportunities and to be available for you, which means that you have to take advantage of that if you want to do well in the course. So hopefully we're going to have a good semester, and we'll try to keep things as entertaining and engaging as they can be. Yes, J-term can be quite intensive, but we're going to make sure it is worth your while. I'm going to do everything I can to ensure that. So finally, with questions, if you have any, email me, or I've opened up discussion forums where you can post any questions or feedback, and you can do that either anonymously or using your own name. It is entirely up to you. There's an option to make yourself anonymous, and there is a form for that under course information for questions about the course in general, and for any module, including this one. You can post in that module. If it's a 2-part module, most modules are going to be 2 days long. This is one exception, and there's a few more. The discussion space for asking questions or providing feedback or comments or criticisms will always be in the first day of that module. So with that said, good luck, and I can't wait to start engaging in discussions with everyone here and to get to learn a little bit more about you. Thanks for listening, and more soon.